Awesome.
Natalie, this is a Dare to Self Care First. Your third time on the podcast.
Third? I thought this was the second.
No, you were one of my first guests, and then you came on when you launched Rella.
Oh yeah, in my apartment. We recorded.
Oh yeah, in person.
Yeah.
In your apartment.
Person. And then now here. Yay, yeah. I'm so excited.
So like the first one was your influencer journey. Second one was like Rella. Mm-hmm. And now this is just like a girl chat.
Yeah. I like girl chats. I've been like trying to do more of them on my podcast too, and like I really, really like them.
I feel like it's kind of a theme right now that everyone's like, okay, we don't need more like interviews with founders. Like I'm kind of sick of listening to them too.
Yeah. Yep. I haven't. It's so bad because like I love podcasts. Lately I've been in like a podcast slump where I haven't listened to like any podcasts, and I think it's because all the ones I'm subscribed to are like interviews with founders and business people, and don't get me wrong, I love that because it does inspire me, but I kind of like got burnt out by it a little bit.
Totally. I feel like I have my like ones that I want to be inspired by business wise, then I have like my health ones, then I have my funny ones. Like I'm very particular. I literally tune in, like check in with myself. I'm like, what am I in the mood for right now?
Yeah,
because sometimes I cannot take another like piece of business advice that like gives me anxiety.
Yeah, and even like, so I've been interviewing people. I've honestly been interviewing less people now and doing more like solo episodes with friends, and it kind of reminds me of my early podcast days.
Yeah.
Like, because when I first started my podcast, I interviewed my friends. Like that was what the podcast was. Like I wanted to interview like cool entrepreneurs too, but like I didn't know anyone, so I was like, I'm just gonna interview my friends and share their stories and like just talk. And I've kind of like gotten back to that.
Yeah.
And I really like it because now when I'm interviewing people that are founders, I'm like, how do I make this different? And it's really hard. Not
only different, but just like, okay, we're clearly not vibing as people, so this just feels very formal and Q&A.
Yes, I did one. I did one once, and
we're like, who was it?
I did one once, and it was very just like question 1, question 2, question 3, and it's so awkward for me because like I pride myself on hopefully being a good interviewer, you know, and when the person is not like giving you anything to work with, it's like you ask a question, it's like, yeah.
That's why I love podcasting with podcasters, though.
Yeah.
Because the amount of times I've done that, and I agree, I'm like, I feel like I'm very conversational, but like some people I think just don't understand what a podcast is, so they think it is Q&A.
Yeah.
And then they literally just give you the answer and that's it, and then you try to like bounce off of that and give your insight, and they're just like, yeah.
Yes, I'll give my opinion. So like they'll answer the question, they'll be like, mm-hmm. And then like I'll be like, okay, so like like give my answer kind of to like start a combo. Yeah. And then it's like, yeah. And I'm like,
you're like, okay, next question.
Moving on.
It's so awkward. But moving on. Yeah. So I want to ask you something we do on this podcast that I'm trying to do more of with guests that like aren't founders, or you are a founder, but like you're also a friend and you've been on before and done the formal thing before. So I want to do more of, in my intros, I always do what's in alignment and out of alignment. And I want to do that with my friends who come on, because I feel like it's just a good way to break. It's a good way to kind of have those relatable conversations without it feeling forced, like we were just talking about.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
So what's in alignment for you?
In alignment for me is like, I don't know if this makes sense for being like in alignment technically, but I really love being single with my friends.
I love
just talking about that.
Yeah.
And because a lot of my friends in Miami are single as well, I think half of us are single, half of us aren't. So it's like a good mix. But being single in your 20s with a friend group, it makes me feel like I'm like in Sex and the City. Like it makes me feel like I'm in like a TV show like that. And that is literally what I've always like wanted, you know? I've always watched those shows and like longed for them, you know? And like now I'm like, wow, this is like actually, like it actually happened for me, because I was never single, but also two, I haven't ever had like a friend group, like, or like a girlfriend group.
Yeah.
And like having that now and like being on the same page with them, it's just like so nice.
I feel like the friend part of being single is so key.
Yeah.
I would never know because I've never been single, literally. But I have a lot of friends who are either like completely wifed up and engaged and getting married, and then like there's one or two of our other friends, like in one of my high school friend groups, that are just totally on a different page.
Yeah.
And they kind of have to seek out other friends in other areas of their life, whether it's work or whatnot, to find a different group to go out with. And it's like, I always used to, in college, I think I went almost overboard to not act single in terms of like being with guys, but I think I wanted my friends to know that like I can still have a fun time even though I have a boyfriend. And I was like, so like, the way I partied in college, you would have thought I was like the most single girl on the planet, because you really do need friends to like be able to go out and have that energy. And like, it's just interesting. I feel like once you hit a certain age out of college, people are like settled down. Yeah. And it makes being single less fun when you don't have those friends to like bond with over what dates did you go on this week and like 100%. Whatnot.
And also, so yesterday I went out with one of my friends here in New York. And the first bar I went to, or actually not the first bar, but like the second bar we went to East Point. East Point. Yeah, East Point. And I was like, everyone here is either using a fake ID or like 21. Yeah. I'm like, everyone is so young. And I felt so old. Like, I'm 27 or about to be 27. Same. And I'm like, oh my God, like everyone here is literally like a baby and I feel so old. And it just, like, makes you uncomfortable a little bit, even though, like, you're all doing the same thing, you know? You're out, like, at a bar, drinking, like, dancing. But I'm just, like, I don't want to be here. Like,
No, I get it. Because most of my single friends still don't like going out, but they're just... I feel like in New York City, it's more at this age, like, going on dates. It's, like, I don't really want to meet someone, like, out at a club or a bar, because if you're a guy who's at one of those places, it's almost like a turnoff.
Yeah. So, or it's like, what are you going to talk about when you're out there? Like, I know all you want to do is like find someone to go home with. Like,
100%.
Like, yeah.
Which is like, that was fun in college and whatnot, but now at this age, you're like actually trying to find someone to date for real. But when you first, not got single, but you broke up with him, right?
It was like pretty mutual. Like, it was a very amicable breakup. We both knew that we needed to end things.
Like, this wasn't working.
Yeah.
So was being single at that point, when you're going through a breakup with someone who you were with for such a long time, was being single intimidating? Like, how did you feel initially, just comparing it to now?
It was so scary, because I haven't been single for the past 10 years, pretty much. Like, I've always jumped from relationship to relationship. Like, the longest I was single in between was 3 months. Crazy. So, like, I just say I haven't been single in 10 years, because what was I doing in those 3 months, you know? And, like, all the guys that I had dated, it's like I had already known them, so it wasn't like I was, like, found them and met them. My, like, ex was the most recent one, was the only one that I had actually, like, met and didn't know. Like, that was the only one that, like, I didn't know in the past. And that just happened very quickly. But I haven't had any, like, single period, really. Yeah. And so I was really nervous, because also, one, like, I mean, 27, like, people are getting married. People are even having kids at this point. Like, and also, I spent 4 years with this person that I thought I was going to marry. So that's scary, kind of thinking, like, I was always thinking, like, am I going to find someone that I get along with, that I like, that has every character trait I want? Like, does that even exist, you know? Like, I think that was my fear, because the breakup that I had gone through was, like, both of us still, like, honestly, like, love each other so much. Like, it was not a bad breakup. When I say, like, I know people say that all the time, but, like, truly, like, I know both of us none of us have a negative thing to say about each other. Like, there's not one bad thing I could say about him. And I'm like, I don't want to hype him up too much, because then I'm like, I don't want to, like, no one DM him.
How did you know? Like, if someone's listening and they're like, I feel like we've drifted or whatever it is, like, how did you know okay, we need to have a conversation?
Yeah, for us, it was that we had different, like, values, and that we had different, just, like, how we wanted to raise kids and how we wanted to, like, raise a family was polar opposite.
Scary.
And so that we both were like, these two things are not things we can compromise on. So, like, how do you start a family? How do you get married? You know, when, like, there's no compromise, it's like one or the other.
That's a really sad breakup, I feel like.
Yeah. So that's why it's like, that's what was sad, because, like, no one did anything.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, we just, like, fell out of love, or, oh, we, like, you know, got in a big fight, or someone cheated. Like, no one did anything. Yeah. It was not like a falling out of love situation. It was literally just like we do not align on certain values and our foundations are like different. And so how do you move forward like with family?
Once you hit a certain age, like for so long you can kind of just be like, oh, we'll deal with that when we get to it. Or like you kind of hope that once you get there, someone
changes. Oh yeah, 100%. Both of us were like, one of us will change, you know, and like it just never happened.
Yeah. So then at a certain age, you're kind of like, well, we can't waste each other's time.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like that's honestly nice encouragement that now you're having so much fun.
Yes. Yes. I always tell people like that, like want to, you know, are thinking about breaking up and also I think if you're thinking about breaking up with someone, like you should probably break up with them. Like that's just like, if you are constantly thinking about it and getting advice and like writing into podcasts and looking at Reddit forums and all, break up with them. Like just,
I feel like it's like when you want to quit your job, it's like the whisper just gets louder and louder and louder, and then it'll just like hit. At least that's how I work.
Yes, 100%. And it's usually girls that are like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I always like, you'll see those, I've seen like TikToks about this or like just like tweets about this. And it's like, if a girl breaks up with you, she's been thinking about it for months.
So true.
If a guy breaks up with a girl, it's like an in the moment decision. Like
I believe that.
Yeah, because like it's so scary. I mean it's scary for anyone, but I think girls deal with it more where it's just really scary to like pull that trigger because you're just scared to be alone or you don't know if you're gonna find someone or I don't know.
It's also I feel like girls kind of or women.
Yeah,
kind of.
I keep saying like girls.
I know, but women feel so formal. Like
I know.
I feel like we're more intuition based. So like you feel it in your gut, and then you're just kind of like trying to feel it out. Is this fear? Is this my gut? Like we're more mature in that sense, and I feel like guys are a little more like scared of their emotions. So when they feel something, they just like pull the trigger.
Yes, 100%. That's what I feel like I've seen with my friends too. Like there's so many people that they broke up with their boyfriends and like they should have done it like a year ago.
Totally.
You know? And I was one of those people with my college relationship that should have ended a year before it did.
Which is crazy because you're at that point at an age where it shouldn't be as scary to go through a breakup because probably like everyone you hang out with is single and hooking up with people and whatnot.
Yeah, but for me, it was like our friend group was so intertwined that I was like, I don't want to lose that friend group.
And the dynamic.
And I don't want to lose the dynamic. And I don't want to, you know, like it was so intertwined with like so many areas of my life that I didn't want to like change that.
I think that's what's scary about a breakup. It's like you're not just detaching from the person, but it's like the entire lifestyle.
Totally. And I think what helped with my like most recent breakup is that we had very different friend groups, very different like
separate lives. Yeah,
like of course that his friends became my friends and vice versa, but they were never, we lived like separately from them, so it was never like, oh, all of us were in one friend group and that those were my friends too. It was like, okay, yeah, when I visited the Northeast I would hang out with his friends and I loved them. When he, you know, came to North Carolina, he would hang out with my friends and like liked them, but like it was never our friends.
Yeah,
it was very separate.
This is probably just due to you guys being long distance, and also we can stop talking about your ex after.
It's okay. It's okay.
But when I posted that Alana Dunn was coming on and I was like, what are your dating relationship questions, I was shocked at how many people also voted for how to be independent in a relationship. And I feel like that's something you were so good at, and I don't know if you were good at that in your previous relationship or what are your thoughts on that, or like just tips? And it could have just been because you were long distance too.
Yeah, no, but I think I'm a very independent person no matter what.
Me too.
We were not. Yeah, you're very much like that, I can tell. Yeah. Like I always think that that's so important because I think the relationship, if you, and I'm not trying to say like you're gonna break up so be independent because when you break up it's easier.
Yeah,
hopefully you don't break up with the person you're with. Like obviously that's not the goal, but if like being independent makes you make decisions, like makes rational decisions and like the right decisions, I think, rather than decisions based out of fear.
So true.
Because when you are not independent and your life is totally dependent on that other person, if you do need to break up, you're probably not because you're so scared because there's so much more change. And breakups are scary regardless. Like you can be the most independent person in the world and breakups suck. But when your life is totally intertwined with them and like you cannot do anything without them and you've lost all your friends because you're only with this one person and you know, don't have like your own life, then that's so much scarier. So that's one reason.
It's the reason. So then, like, okay, let's say someone's listening and they're like, shit, that's literally me. Like, I'm with him every single day and night, and I, like, haven't seen my friends in a while. Because I have, like, someone in mind, honestly, that literally went through this, and then they went on a break, and she realized, wow, I completely lost myself in this relationship, and I'm now, like, don't know what to do with myself without him. And when they got back together, she was like, I want to focus on myself, what I need, my own workouts, my own whatever, because just got so lost in their relationship, and it was very scary when a break happened. So, like, someone's listening and they're like, oh shit, that's me, what would you say?
Well, one, I don't think it's ever too late to, like, gain your independence, because I think anyone can do that at any point. Married, single, whatever, however long you've been together. I think one thing, have your own friends, and, like, even if you guys have the same friends, do things without each other.
Right.
Like, go and get brunch with your girlfriends. Go and get drinks with someone. Go, like, start doing things separately, I think. I think that helps a lot. And start inviting people places. 'Cause so many times, I think, especially, I even fell into this where, like, I wouldn't invite anyone places because, like, anytime I would want to do something, I would just bring my boyfriend. Like, I wouldn't invite my friends.
Interesting, yeah.
And then I would only go hang out with my friends if, like, I was invited. Start being like, oh, okay, like, I have a plan tonight, or I want to go to this nice restaurant tonight. Instead of going with my boyfriend, I'm going to invite a friend. Even if you would rather be with your boyfriend. Like, there's nothing wrong with...
Push yourself, yeah.
Yeah, like, there's nothing wrong with wanting to spend time with, like, your partner more than other people. Like, I think that's fine, but, like, force yourself to, like, do things separately, and also force yourself to kind of have separate routines. So, like, your morning routine shouldn't be like everything should be with that person.
Yeah.
And then, like, especially now people are working from home, so then you guys work together. And then a night routine, everything's with that person. Like, I think it's nice to have a night routine where, yeah, you guys cook together, you do something together, like, whatever. But maybe, like, you read a book at night and he reads a book at night or something. I don't know. Or, like,
no, I agree.
In the morning, you go to your workout class. You go to your gym and then get a coffee, come back to your own thing. Like, I don't think everything needs to be done together. And I think you need to actually make an effort to make relationships with other people, or, like, grow relationships with other people in your life.
Right. So it's not even just making an effort to, like, separate yourself from them. Just focus on spending more time with your friends or with yourself.
Yeah.
My thing with this is always, like, communication. And if you don't feel comfortable to talk about this with your partner, I also kind of think that's a red flag, personally, because drawing on my own experience, Ethan and I went to college together, not intentionally, but we ended up at college together and stayed together. And we were both so vocal with each other about, like, we need to make our own friends. Like, I need to be going out to dinner with my friends at night, and, like, you go to college and you're trying to make friends and have a friend group and whatever, like, we can't be, I can't just always go and hang out with my boyfriend. And even after college, I would say, honestly, I haven't seen my friends in 2 weeks. And he'd be like, yeah, go to dinner with them.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be supporting each other in your own lives. If you're with a partner who makes you feel guilty for wanting to hang out with other people and you don't feel you can have that communication, I actually think that's a red flag.
100%. And I think that stems from, like, I think jealousy. Sometimes people get it confused with, like, oh, that's so cute. Like, they want me, and they want me, like, to themselves. Like, that's kind of, like, hot, or that's cute, or whatever. I do think some people actually feel that way about jealousy. To me, any form of jealousy is, like, automatic deal breaker. We will not work. Like, it is. So I understand, like, there needs to be boundaries set. Like, okay, maybe you shouldn't be, like, hanging out with, the opposite sex all the time. Like, whatever.
Right.
If you feel uncomfortable. Okay, set boundaries with your partner. But when people are jealous, I think it stems from, like, wanting to control the other person. And, like, that is just gonna foster or, like, fester into something so much bigger in the future if you continue to let that grow.
Completely.
So just, like, nip jealousy in the butt. Say, like, listen, these are our boundaries. I think that's perfectly healthy to have boundaries in a relationship, because, like, I don't want my boyfriend getting dinner with a girl. Like, that's not, like, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Without it, like, invite me.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not, like.
That's weird.
Yeah, but, like,
unless it's, like, their best friend from growing up or something. Yes. Obviously, there are other circumstances.
100%. But, like, oh, I met this girl out last night.
Work.
I'm gonna get dinner. Yeah, no, you're not. You're not.
But I do think, like, it's wanting the best for the other person, because I think some people get jealous. Like, let's say it's a guy and their girlfriend. The guy doesn't want their girlfriend going to hang out with their friends all the time because he doesn't have a friend group himself, so he can get insecure. This is just like an example. I want the person I'm with to want me to go hang out with my friends. Like, if Ethan said, you haven't seen your friends in a few weeks, it's like, why don't you go out Saturday night? Like, that is, I think, so nice. And like I would rather,
healthy.
yeah, exactly. So I feel like that communication part is so key. Is there anything that you're like, now that you've been kind of single for the first time in your life, that you're like, okay, I'm not going to get into a relationship unless it's this? Like, do you have any?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of the biggest things is obviously the reason why we broke up. So, like, if we do not have the same values and the same, like, foundation, then I'm not even going to go on a date with you.
Right.
Because, like, why would I? You know, like, I know that is, like, the biggest thing, just making sure that we're aligned with, like, the same values. And then there's so many other character traits. Like, I want them to be, I want them to be, like, fun and playful, and I also want them to be like ambitious and driven, and there's so many character traits that like I have in my mind. I want them to like get along with my brother, like
Right.
things like that I'm just like I really would like want in a partner. But like the biggest thing is definitely like the reason why we broke up, which is just like aligning in values.
But how do you figure that out early on as someone who doesn't go on dates? How do you figure that out early on without seeming like too forward on the first date?
I think you can kind of tell.
Suss it out.
Yeah, you can like kind of tell, I think. Like I went on a date with one guy, and I could tell before we went on a date that we shared the same values, and so like I was like, just from like the conversations we had, I could tell. And it wasn't like an interview style like conversation. It just like flowed naturally.
It's a vibe, yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'll give this guy a chance, and like we just ended up like fizzling out and stuff. But I'm like really glad that I at least put myself out there and tried. But like I'm not even gonna go on a date if I don't think that that's there.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm not on dating apps, so it's like
You're not?
No.
Oh, why?
I just don't like them.
No, I know a lot of people don't, but they still like are on them anyway.
I'm such a connection person. Like we need to have a like really great conversation for me to even like.
So how are you meeting people?
Just like out, like I'm not really at bars or anything, but just like through mutual friends or out. I mean, I've only gone on one date, so I mean, how am I meeting
like
people?
How are you meeting all these guys?
No, I've only gone on one date.
I'm dying.
So
maybe,
she
she met one guy out once.
Maybe I will go on dating apps eventually.
This is an intervention.
Yeah, but like right now, I've tried them. I've gone on them before.
Yeah.
And I just like match with people, and then I literally am like, there's no desire in me to talk to you. Like nothing in me is like, oh, I want to answer your text, or I want to like respond. Like
I think it's so hard with guys too, like for girls to swipe on guys, because how many guys have you had crushes on like growing up that objectively are not cute, but they were just so the funny guy, or like just the way they carried themselves and their personality made them 10 times hotter.
Oh, almost every single one that I've liked.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you swipe based on looks? It's like impossible for girls.
Yeah, and then a lot of guys that are like objectively like really hot are like the biggest dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm like you suck. Like,
that's why apps, I think, especially for girls, are so hard, because like for guys, I feel like every girl just looks beautiful. Like,
yeah, I know.
I'm
like, there are so many good girls. Like me and my friends were talking about this trip. My friend Chanel, she was like, my friends are so hot.
Yeah.
They're so nice. They're so like smart. And she's like, what? How are they single? She's like, where are the men? I'm like, it's like an epidemic. Like
they're all hiding behind their phones. No one's like out. That's the problem, I feel like.
I know. So I'm like, but I'm not, because, so I broke up. I've been single for like 8 months now.
Oh, you're like.
So I'm still, I mean, 8 months is like, I feel like it was like a 4-year relationship. So it was definitely my most serious relationship. So I'm just like not in a rush. I don't know. I'm like, if
I don't
it
blame
happens,
you.
it happens, but I'm not gonna like put myself out there and like go on unenjoyable dates just to go on them.
Yes.
So
eventually, if you get to the point where you're like, oh, I kind of want to settle down or whatever, then you might go back on the apps.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So we have your game plan.
Yeah. Exactly.
What is out of alignment for you right now?
So not relationship based, but out of alignment, I think, is the pressure of like fitting into that a certain like founder mold, I think. So what I mean by this is like you see like the Gary V's of the world, or like the I don't know, like Ed Milet's and these like really, really amazing people that I am inspired by. But they're like, you gotta wake up at like 5 a.m. and like you get like chug a coffee and then work out for an hour and then and every single minute of my day is scheduled and on the calendar. And like, I'm just like, that stresses me out so much more than like my actual work does. Like, I'm like, I just don't want to feel like I'm unproductive if I am not hustling every second of the day. Like, I want to feel like my rest is also productive. And so out of alignment is that like super like
Hustle,
go. And I'm not trying to say like I'm anti-hustle culture, because like I actually think that there is a time when you need to hustle. Like, there are points in your life when you're like, yeah, you might not get a lot of sleep. Like, that's just the season that you're in. But like overall, for like a lifestyle, that's just like not realistic for me.
First of all, you're really reminding me of Maddie Mayo. Have you spoken to her?
Not recently about that, no.
Because she says the same thing about, because she's the founder of Camber, and she's like, when I'm unproductive, I feel anxious because of all this messaging.
Yep.
So you guys should talk.
Yeah.
You should definitely do a podcast or something. But it's interesting because when I look at you, I do see someone who hustles like that and has a routine. But I also feel like since you moved to Miami, maybe you've like had a slower paced life.
I think so. And I think also like, I love routine. Like, I love routine. I like going into my office. I like having that routine. But sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, like today I feel like I didn't do that much. Mm-hmm. Or I don't know, I like need to run errands in the middle of the day and I'm like feeling guilty about that. Or like I have a doctor's appointment and I'm like feeling guilty. And I'm like, wait, first of all, I wanted to be like a business owner myself because I want to be able to like make my own schedule and have that freedom. And also, I'm fine with doing, like, nothing is gonna, me sitting at a laptop all day is not gonna, like, move the company forward if I burn out. And, like, me and my co-founder were talking about this, but we both really love reading, and some of our, like, best ideas and, like, the things that have actually, like, shifted Rella in, like, a huge way have come from things that we've read.
Interesting. Like books?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it's, like, reading is actually really productive for us.
That was such a stupid question. No. Like books? I
just
meant like articles. Yeah.
No.
So, or like fiction versus nonfiction. Like what you're talking.
A lot of like business books.
Got it.
But like I just feel unproductive being like, oh, in the middle of the day, I'm gonna sit and read instead of like being on a computer.
Okay, you're literally Maddie Mayo. Like she says the same thing. This is tripping me out.
I need to have her on the podcast.
You do.
Yeah.
Because she says the same thing. Like she stopped guilting herself or shaming herself, and she would like spend a day at a coffee shop just reading and learning.
Yep.
And like forcing herself to do that and telling herself this is not unproductive, this is actually productive.
Yeah. And some of my best ideas, some of the best shifts, some of the like the best things I've come out of Rella came because I took time to like take a break, read, come back, and like reassess. Yeah. And that has been 20 times more productive than me answering emails.
It's also interesting because now I've been in a place where I was doing like a bunch of part-time jobs and like quit the full-time mold, and now I'm back in full-time, and I miss so much being able to go like to the doctor midday, or being able to like, not even the flexibility of it, but just not feeling, if I'm at my computer for 8 hours in the day, I genuinely do not think that is smart of anyone to ask of their employees. Like you said, you're going to burn out or whatever. I don't want to feel like if I'm going to walk for longer than 20 minutes or something, like, oh my God, I should be at my computer. Like, I hate that.
Yeah.
So next time you feel that way, just remember you could be in a full-time role where someone actually is making you feel like you have to be at your computer.
Yeah.
Even if it's not someone literally saying it to you, you feel like it's
though.
The work day. Why am I... Like, if my boss calls me right now, I need to be at my computer.
Yeah, or else they're going to be like, wait, is that traffic I hear?
Exactly. No, literally. Like, I'm always like, sorry, I just ran to get coffee. And it's like, no, it's actually insane that you're expected. And I don't even think, I feel like, honestly, like my bosses would be like, we don't expect that from you. But just that pressure of feeling like I'm being paid to sit here for 8 hours of my day every single day, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, that's why we always tell anyone that works at Rella, whenever we onboard them, we're like, listen, I do not care what hours you work. I don't care what you do in the middle of the day. I don't care. We have some meetings on the calendar that, okay, yeah, you gotta like be at certain times. But like throughout the day, if you need to take a break, if you work better at midnight, if you it doesn't matter. Like for me, I'm like, if you're getting your work done, why do I care how many hours you're spending,
I
at a
think
computer?
more people are shifting towards that. And like even my boss has said to me, like, I don't like if you work an hour later and want to then end an hour later, like I don't care. But it's still, as an employee,
Yeah,
you
the
feel
guilt.
yeah, like you want to be the star employee. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
hard.
That's why with us, like I really think we have such a good company culture, and I think
I
it's
can
because,
tell.
yeah, thank you. And it's something that we all take a lot of pride in because one, we've had the team since the very beginning. So no
It's
one's
crazy.
yeah, and our front end engineer, our first engineer, he ended up leaving, and he left for a little bit because like we had no money. So like we were paying under market value for a very long time. So our employees were staying with us because they really believed in us. We weren't getting paid. Like none of the founders were getting paid. We were paying our employees everything
It's
like
crazy.
that we could, but it was definitely below what they could have gotten at another job. He left to another startup because they were offering him, health, like benefits and actual decent wage. So, it's like, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Totally understand. So he left. Once we ended up raising and we could actually like pay them what they're worth, he came back. So
That's very telling.
and I'm like, I feel like that says a lot, and we've had such good like retentions, and no one's left. He was the only
So
one that left,
crazy.
and it was for that reason, which I understand, and then he came back. And so I'm like, I really pride ourselves on a good company culture, and so I try to also like tell people, like, because I know that employee guilt is there, even if you tell them.
It's human nature, yeah.
Yeah, you say like, oh, I don't care when you work as long as you're getting your work done. That guilt is still there. So like if I can tell that like for example, Natasha the other day was like moving, and she's like, I think I'm gonna take a half day because I need to move. I'm like, take the whole day off. I'm like, moving is the biggest pain
The worst.
ever. Don't work that day. Like, what are you gonna get done by working an hour when you're stressed?
That is
Like-
such a valid point, because if I were to take a half day while I was moving, it would literally just be to show face.
Yes.
I would not be getting anything done.
No, I'm like, just take the day off. And the next day I was like, listen, if you're like tired and like from moving the previous day, like just take today off too. Like I don't, like that's fine. So
Yeah.
I feel like I try to tell them, hey, like actually take time off. Like it's not like
Yeah.
a thing that I'm just saying. Like I actually want you to feel that way. And like I feel like we do a really good job at that. And I think it's because we're all around the same age. And so
I
we
was
all
gonna
understand
say,
each other.
That's why I liked working at an agency, because everyone's the same age and like it's just a good vibe. It makes working and being in person so much more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like.
Yeah, so I hope that translates as we grow and as we scale. But like I always try, I know company values are like so cheesy and cliche, but like actually having them written down and like repeating them every now and then, like whenever we have someone new or whenever we're like talking to the team, like is so important, because people do feel that guilt a lot. And so you have to tell them, and I feel that guilt too, and I have to remind myself, like,
Yeah.
listen, we've built a really great team. It's okay if I take a step back and like do something for myself every now and then.
Okay, so it feels like there's a lot that you have to think about as a CEO and like managing everyone. Are you still struggling with trying to put more into like your content and influencer work while also trying to be a really good CEO and grow your brand?
Yeah, it's so hard because I love creating content, and this is another thing, I feel guilty sometimes when I'm focusing on like content stuff and I'm not focusing on Rella. I'm like,
But that grows. Like I feel like the greater
Exactly.
your influence, the greater your company and brand will do.
exactly. And then I'm like, I see the event that we did this week, and like those people came, a lot of them came because they've been following me for so long.
Yeah.
But they're also Rella users, so they also like know about Rella. So I'm like, it is like the Rella is so powerful because of the community that I have from my own following, and I can't like forget about that, So I am trying to focus on content a bit more now, but it has been a little difficult. I feel like I need to just get like a better routine or something, because like, and I need to stop fearing like filming in front of people. I've been doing this for like 12 years and I still have like a fear
Like
of
in
filming.
front of who? Like at work?
No, like with my friends and stuff. Like I don't know why. I
Interesting.
just like, I'm like, I don't want to put a camera in your face. Like I'm like, I don't.
I always will just like, if I'm with my friends, everyone's still talking and I literally just prop the camera up in the corner and I go, ignore me. And then like,
Yeah.
it's like a good way to just.
I know, I need to do that. And my friends all are like so supportive.
You just put it in their face.
I know. Hey!
Yeah. Like that's always awkward when you're like, okay, speak. And it's like, no, what? I'll just like put it in a corner and I'll be like, you could keep talking. I'm going to time lapse it anyway.
Yeah. I
Just
need
like,
to do that because I do feel like I feel like that's why my content has lacked, because I'm like scared to film in front of people still.
which I get, because also like I feel like my content has like YouTube has suffered since living with Ethan, because even though like he doesn't care and he's very supportive, it's like if he's sleeping in, I'm not going to do like a get ready with me in the bathroom because I have to be quiet. It's like little things like that.
It's things like that. And like I'll then forget, and then I'm like, oh crap. Like living alone, I feel like is when you get the best content.
100%. I miss it for that reason.
Yeah,
like, and that reason content. Only.
Yes. Yeah. So like, I mean, now I live alone, so I have no excuse. But I'm like with my friends a lot, or I'm at the office a lot, and I just like feel weird. But I think this. So as I'm entering 27, I'm gonna start one of my goals. I'm gonna write down like my goals for this year, and one of my goals is going to be to get just like more comfortable like with content anywhere.
And I like that, because I feel like so many people's goals are very like things that are out of your control. I always think about like, I'm not going to make my goal anymore like 100K on YouTube, the plaque, like that is completely out of my control. But like working on your confidence and things like that are actually in your control.
Totally.
So I like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Actually, on one of the reasons why we're like changing the goals feature on Rella, so you can like track your goals. We're making it also so that it's more like easy to understand, but have like habits underneath the goal.
Oh, I like that.
Because that is what, because the goals on Rella, they're numbers based, you know,
right.
like hit 100K by blah blah blah. But underneath it's habits to reach that goal, which you can actually control, like you were saying.
Wait, that is a great little addition.
So like the main goal, it's gonna be the numbers tracker, but like the rest what's underneath, how are you gonna get there? It's like working on your confidence, filming more, uploading once a week, like whatever.
Love that. I'm gonna use that.
Yay.
Okay, ending segment. Fun facts and favorites. Wellness product you can't live without right now.
Oh, I've been taking this liver supplement.
Interesting.
It's literally like just liver from a cow, I think.
Okay.
But it's in supplement form.
Yeah.
It is amazing. I just ran out and I haven't been using it this past week, and I can tell. Like I can tell this past week.
Like what?
I've broken out again, and like my skin has actually cleared a lot. You know, I've been struggling with acne for like so long. Right now I'm breaking out slightly because of not taking those liver pills for
or
like
because you're traveling.
No, it's the liver pills. It gives me energy. It makes me like feel so much health. Like I don't get my immunity is like so much better. I haven't gotten sick in months, and
So you take it once a day.
Yeah, you just take it in the morning. It's like 6 pills though, but it's in the morning. But
what is the brand?
I actually don't know the brand. I'm gonna send it to you so you can like link it or something. But it's amazing, and if you read the reviews, people like their like lives have changed from these, and I'm like so sad that I went a week without it.
I wonder if it's the same as like eating beef liver. Cause
it is, but it's in supplement form.
Ethan makes that all the time.
Yeah,
and I actually don't mind it. He actually ate it like the night before his marathon because he says the same thing, that it like makes him feel the best he's ever felt when he eats it. But ever since watching the Jeffrey Dahmer documentary, now when he makes liver, I literally feel sick to my stomach, and it's pissing me off. Like, I cannot eat more than a piece of it, so I'm going to get those pills.
No, take these supplements, because, I'm not going to cook liver. So, like, I'm like...
No, most people wouldn't.
Yeah, so I take these supplements in the morning, and it makes me feel amazing, and it has totally changed. Like, my skin is better. Haven't gotten sick. It's great.
Okay. Favorite book? Let's go, like, business book.
Oh, business book? I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to give 2. One's going to be like more memoir style. One's going to be like practical advice. Practical advice one is Fall in Love with the Problem, Not the Solution. Oh. It's new. It's by the founder of Waze, the app.
Yeah.
If you are a startup founder, you need this book. Like if you are building a tech company or a startup, it's the book it's like the startup Bible. It's amazing. Cool. So get that book. Memoir for like businessy memoir. It's called Burnout, I think, and it's by the CEO and founder of Bonobos. he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, and he's a founder, and it goes through his like experience having bipolar disorder, and also being a founder.
That's really
and
cool.
Like how he discovered he had it. His like he goes through like what his manic episodes were like. It's insane.
That's really cool.
I couldn't put it down. It's such a good book if you're a founder or not. Like, it's just a really good book.
Yeah, I might get that even though it's like not relevant to me,
No,
because that's just interesting.
You would like it a lot.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Favorite podcast?
Favorite podcast? I've been listening to more like casual podcasts lately, and I've really liked the What We Said podcast.
I was just gonna say that. I was listening to it on the way here.
I love it.
Their latest episode about It's Never Too Late.
I haven't heard that one yet.
You have to listen to it, because it's exactly what I always think when I get like stressed or anxious. I'm always like, wait, the people who inspire me most are the people who started at like 35.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It makes me feel better to think like, oh, that person that I'm so inspired by is literally 40 or something. It just like makes me feel better. And they went through all these people who started their businesses or their hobbies later in life. And it's just like,
I'm going to listen.
Really refreshing.
Yeah. I'm starting to get into podcasts again. So I need to start. I'll listen to that one. I also, if you are a startup founder and you work in tech and you want like more practical advice in depth, it's not really relevant for you.
Won't be listening, but keep going.
But if anyone is listening, that one goes super in depth with like certain topics, like very, very specific topic. It's not just like how I built this, where it kind of tells their story, which I love how I built this, but it tells their story. This one, it's like, okay, like you are having co-founder problems.
Details.
Like here's how to, it's so specific, and it's like been really helpful for me.
Yeah, that sounds helpful. Okay, lastly, what is your favorite way to move right now?
Oh, Pilates. I have been obsessed. I canceled my gym membership.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like spending so much money on a gym membership, and I started doing Pilates more, and I'm like, never wanted to go to the gym, and so I'm like, I'm just gonna cancel my gym membership. And I do Form by Sammy Clark, obsessed, and then I do like solid core tremble once a week.
Okay, so you're doing like at-home Pilates and then Megaformer.
Yep.
Love.
Yeah.
Okay, where can everyone find you, Rella, all the things?
Yeah, you can find me at Natalie Barbu across all social media platforms, so Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And then you can download Rella for free. It's called Rella. You can look up Rella Social or getrella.com.
Amazing. Thank you.